Welcome, everyone, to Coffee with a Codex. My name is Dot Porter. I am a curator in the Schoenberg Institute for Manuscript Studies, which is a research and development group in the Kislak Center for Special Collections, Rare Books, and Manuscripts in the University of Pennsylvania Libraries. We do a lot of things at SIMS. We have a lot of different programs and projects. But one of the things that I love to do, is Coffee with the Codex. So once a week on Thursdays at noon Eastern Time, which is our local time, I take something off the shelf and present it to you. And for those of you who've been here before and you know the drill, welcome. If you're new, welcome too. I'm always glad to see new faces or new names in the list. So this is informal, and it is like a show and tell. I'm not going to give you a lecture because oftentimes, as today, this is a book I don't actually know a whole lot about. And the point is just to show it to you. If you know more than I do, please don't hesitate to type your knowledge in the chat. You can also ask questions in the chat. My colleague Amy Hutchins is here. She is our manuscripts cataloging librarian. Incredibly knowledgeable, and she's also going to be watching the chat. So let us go ahead and get started. Let's see what we got. So this is, the shelf mark is MS Codex 468. It's a shelf mark. It just tells us where to find it on the shelf. It's with the MS Codex collection, which is our general manuscript collection. Codex, because it is a codex book. A codex book, it has pages and it's sewn together. So we'll take a little look here. Let me tell you a little bit more before we get started. It was written, we think, in Lombardy in 1578, and I'll show you why we have that date. Oftentimes when we talk about manuscripts, we talk in a sort of general way. You may say circa 1500 or 16th century. In this case, there is a date that is written in the book, which can be really helpful. It is in Italian. That is, the text that exists is in Italian, but this is a book of math, and so it's mostly math in there, although there are a fair number of words. It was, let's see, so we're going to start with arithmetical tables and then go on, but let's take a quick look at the binding. The binding is kind of interesting, only because we know for a fact that this is not the original binding. We would know anyway. It's a later binding, maybe 20th century even, although it is in the style of the 16th century. So the original binding could have looked like this. But there is a description of this book that was made before it was owned by the person who gave it to Penn, right? So this was actually gifted to Penn I think in the 1960s, 1967. And it was owned by someone else, and it was owned by this other person. It was described as having a binding that was made from an old manuscript leaf, and it was then rebound. So it was rebound much more recently, which is too bad because it's pretty cool when there's like manuscript writing on the cover. But in this case, we have a nice clean cover, but you can see these little things here. This is little pieces of parchment that are actually, this is what is attaching the text block, which is this part, all the pages, to the cover itself. The cover is made of parchment, so this is animal skin. It's very stiff, but there's no wood or board or anything in there. It's just pretty loose, although the parchment itself is stiff. So let's take a look. So I said this is 1578. The tissue here is, and there's other tissue in the book, is to protect some of the decoration. So let's move this out of the way. There we go. So I picked this one because I was looking through some digital images and I came across this one, and I thought this was so cool. So I thought, I want to look at this book, and it's actually pretty neat. So it is a math book. It seems to be like a textbook almost. but it has a fair amount of really interesting decoration. And in this case, we have a large G that has these faces in them. And these, you do see these kinds of faces in sort of later, like Renaissance, 16th century manuscripts. Something else that's kind of interesting, and I'm not entirely sure what happened here. This is wax. There's like wet red wax here, almost like there was a seal maybe holding something to it. But remember, the manuscript was rebound, and so I don't know, and I don't know if Amy has any idea of what might be going on here. And it looks like it's even been burned a little bit, maybe when the wax was dripped on here. There's a request to zoom in on the faces, so I will do that. So we'll get a better look. There they are. They're kind of grotesque. And there's also a little zoomorphic. So a zoomorphic initial is an initial that has an animal as part of it. So it's like this dragony bird-like thing is actually like biting it. Yes, they're leaves. So it's like leafy. We're combining some different things. We've got faces and we've got leaves, and then we've got this interesting creature there. And let's see, the text, according to the record, is a humanistic script, although there's a different hand a little bit later. So let me zoom out, and we'll start paging through. So we'll get a look at what kind of information is here. So it opens up with these sets of tables. Before I get to the table, I want to point out that you can see really clearly that the text is sort of showing through here, especially this dark text. This is iron. The ink has iron in it, and the iron is literally eating into the paper. And so I think in places it's actually eaten through completely, so there's holes in it. It's holding up pretty well, but that's why you can see it through. And another reason why we have the tissue, because we don't want the iron to eat through the page on the other side. So that's what's happening. Okay. Yes, the paper is very thin. I'm being really careful. You can see I'm holding the front cover here. It does not open very far. So I'm being as careful as I can to do that. Ben is asking, why did they use ink with iron in it? And Matilda answers, yes, the iron makes it darker. That's where you get the sort of dark color there. So this figure, I did a little translation. So let me find that. So this is, this is the one where I wasn't entirely sure what this refers to. So if anyone else could figure out, I tried to do a machine translation of this and it wasn't particularly helpful. But there's wind, which is kind of cool. Wind coming up here. Maybe it's just numbers coming down. We've got tens and hundreds and I don't know, thousands, tens of thousands. I am not a math person, so I'm not sure what exactly is happening here. And then again, I'm not sure what this one is, but what I want, like what was showing, but I love that it is it's in columns, and it's literally in columns. So we have these stylized architectural columns that have been drawn here. So this is an informational book. It's a book about math. You're going to be coming to this book to learn not just about math, by the way. I wasn't specific about this. This is a book for commercial math. I think commercial, is that what the term was? Hold on. Handbook of Commercial Arithmetic. So it's specifically for if you're going to be going into business or into banking or into finance. This is the kind of math that you're going to be doing. So this isn't like calculus. It's not to be academic math, or something like math for tracing the movements of the stars, which would be another kind of math that folks would learn. So this is pretty specific. let's see, multiplication tables, right? Obvious multiplication tables, obviously. I just didn't see it. Okay, so yeah, 224, 339, 4416, 6636, multiplication tables. Great. All right, and then this is sums. That is addition. And then the next one is subtraction. So we have it. So we have the multiplication tables, and then we have here's how you do addition, here's how you do subtraction. Going back to the multiplication table, Stefano says tables designed to help learn multiplication, and the title indicates that they were intended to be memorized. So there we go. And then this is cross multiplication. So different ways of doing things. So here's cross multiplication, and if you look down, you can see how the practice. So sort of different methods. Cross multiplication. This is column multiplication, per colonna. And I love, again, like the decoration. There's color, there's shading here. It's a very kind of beautiful, almost, book here. Multiplication by chessboard method. So just another method here. This is the chessboard method. And then multiplication by the square. And I dimly remember, maybe I even learned that when I was young. But there we go, by the square. And then this is, I think this has something to do with proofs, diverse numbers with proofs, how you do a proof. And they're numbered in different ways. But again, with the architectural design, it's very neat. And this manuscript has been digitized, so if you follow the link to the record, you can, if you want to spend more time looking at any one of the pages or try out the math, you can do that. So that was the first section there. And the second section is a sort of a brief introduction. And this is where we get the date. That is the Adi Primo, April 1578. So the first day of April 1578. And a little introduction. Elsewhere in the book, there is an inscription that tells us that the manuscript was let me see if I can find this. Yes, entry on the last blank page indicates this volume was given by Lucretia, who we don't know who she is, but a woman named Lucretia, to her brother. And so perhaps a gift of maybe even an older sister to a younger brother, as he is moving into, he's probably not that old, but he is getting into business, and so he's going to need to learn this math, and so this is a gift for him. I just realized that I skipped over what was maybe one of my favorite table. This one. This is, again, I'm not entirely sure what this is, but it is galera. I think it might refer to galley, which is the shape of a ship, and it's in the shape of a ship, which I think is pretty neat. Matilda is asking, are the ivy leaves gilded or brown? They are brown. There's no gilding in this book. Gilding is gold. So she's asking if the leaves are made of gold. I'll zoom in so you can see. Zoom in so we can see. They are brown. Yeah, it is a darker. It seems the ink used for the heading and the large initials and seems to be different. A little darker than the ink for the main text, but it's still all all brown. All right. Great. So there's that little introduction. And then the rest of the book, I think, most of it, is questions and answers. So problems and their solutions. So sort of showing your work. And here's where I stopped doing my own translation, although if anyone, I know that there are some folks in the chat who are reading along as we go, if you want to share what it is. Laura says math workbook. It's very much math workbook. And I'm actually curious, knowing that this was given by Lucretia to her brother, the work that we see that's done out here, did she give it to him with the work done, or did he work through it himself? And is this his work? I don't know. I think that would be interesting for someone to sort of look at and see if you could figure that out. I think the handwriting could probably tell you, if it looks similar, or yeah, I don't know. But you can see hold on. My light is turned. Come on. Sorry about that. All right. Here we are. So at this point, I'm just going to sort of page through, and we can admire. Really, I'm admiring these initials, ribbon initials, right? Is that Cadles? Laura says. Yeah, they're really they're very impressive, and I love that it's a math book. It's like a math textbook, and it's beautiful. Amy says also called strap work. All right, Stefano, for those interested in images and decorations and abacus manuals and how they supported the learning process, Federico Botana, has written this beautiful book, which I will link to also in the YouTube notes, so everyone can see that. So he's got his proof down below. Let's see here, just paging through. Ooh, we have some P's there. I love that it ends proof. We've got the proof. Here's the proof. We have another manuscript that I think we have looked at before, which might be interesting to look at alongside this one, which is and it's also Italian. It has some illustrations, and it actually shows people measuring buildings and also cutting fabric. Amy, do you know the one I'm talking about? Yeah, it's I can't remember the shelf mark. I think it's an LJS. It's in the Schoenberg collection, but that's nice. Let's see. Mathilde says the script is lovely too. Let's zoom in on the script up at the top. Actually, even the script of the math is very nice. It doesn't look super messy like someone working through it, like mine would look. There we go. Gala. Yeah, I love these ascenders of those letters on top. Is this the same hand? I think it's the same hand. I wonder if Lucretia, she wouldn't have written it. Well, maybe she wrote it herself. I don't know. That's interesting. Amy is pointing out that the book that I mentioned a minute ago is reviewed in Manuscript Studies, which is a journal that we publish at Sims. So I'll include that link as well in the YouTube notes. Let's see. Now that I'm in it, it's opening a bit better. I don't know, the front cover didn't open quite so well, but this is getting a nice little opening. And if anyone at any point wants me to pause or zoom in, I'm happy to. I know that there's a little more decoration coming up, so maybe I'll move a little more quickly just to make sure we get it. Okay, yes. So we've had several pages of working through different problems, and then what do you do after you have worked through many problems and you've learned it? You have your exam. So we have our first exam, which comes with this really lovely initial. Again, there is yellow. This is sort of yellow, some kind of yellow paint, but not gold. I'm sorry, but it is very nice, and it's clearly emulating gold. It's to look like gold. Again, we have our little piece of tissue. To protect this facing page from getting stained, but I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you see that's like very light sort of circle here. That's the imprint of the P from this side. And so before someone put the tissue in, we've got that. So here's our exam, our first exam, to prove that you have learned what you want to be learning. So there we go. And here is, yes, I mentioned that the ink will sometimes eat through the paper, and that's what's happening here, where this dark thing is. I don't know if you can see my finger. I'm moving my finger behind there's actually a hole there. And it's from this side. It's just that the little spot here ate through. And look, we've got another face. Let's take a look at this little face. Here we go. Not quite as robust as the face at the front on the large initials, but there we go. There. Oh, and Amy has helpfully linked to the other manuscript that I mentioned, LJS 27, which is illustrated. It also has a lot of math in it, but it has more illustrations too. I think it's a little bit earlier. I think it's 15th century too. But another cool manuscript. Let's see. Here we go. More of these, and here's another hole. I think. There we go, and you can see that you can see that there, little hole. And again, it's because there was a large area that was colored in with that ink, and it just ate right through the paper. You got to be careful about that. Yeah, these are quite pretty, aren't they? That one's. It almost looks like it's a mouth that's getting ready to eat. Bite down on there. The L's. Oh, here's another face. Another face right here. And there's at least one more illustration. And we only have 5 minutes left. But that's plenty of time to, oh, this is nice with the little thing coming down. I like to think that the artist who did these initials had some fun with this. Oh, there's a question. Will the iron keep eating into the pages? Amy, I assume so. I don't think there's anything that we can do to make it stop. It is slowly, but yeah, it's not, as far as I know, there's nothing you can like put on it to keep it from happening, because it just soaks into the paper and sort of gets going. So that would be something maybe interesting for materials engineers to work on. I just zoomed in a little bit so we can see these better. I'll zoom back out because I know there are some people who are interested in looking at the math. So let's zoom back out. Ooh, there we are. Yes, so it is likely that, another face, that the person who did the initials was a different person than the person who wrote the text. Stefano coming through with the content. These are all commercial problems dealing with quantities of goods, such as sugar, wool, tin, and salt, asking the reader to calculate proportions, prices, and similar values. The prova section, which are these sections on the bottom, that say prova. Here we go. Prova sections here. Shows how they verified that the preceding calculation was correct. This method of checking is still taught to children in Italian primary schools today. At least it was 30 years ago. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I love it. I love it that this is from, 1578, and, we're still learning the same that. And Amy says, thank you. I will add some of that to our record for the manuscript. That's great. And more little faces. There's a great practice among artists of making it a little fun, doing the fun little thing. Okay, we got 3. Oh no, that's so pretty. I just want to make sure we get to the one I want to see. But I love, this is so different. Okay, why is this so different? We've got all these strap work, and then here's a V that looks like branches, like tree branches, with the smaller branches sort of cut off, right? That's very cool. And here's another branch. I wonder if this is even a different artist, or maybe the artist got tired of the strap work and started running out of time, and he had to, or she had to, save time by making them a little bit more simple. I don't know. Amy says, I wonder if the strap work artist didn't get all the way through the book, which is entirely possible. Marie says, they only seem to put fun illustrations in little kids' textbook nowadays. We should bring it back. And here we've got the strap work again, so maybe it's just that. So here is, this is another zoomorphic initial. We have a little dragony guy who, again, is actually really similar to the one at the front. Let me zoom in. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a person. I mean, clearly it's a person, if it's a specific person. I'm looking at the notes about the decoration. Nope, it just says inhabited zoomorphic initial, haloed figure holding a flowering branch. And then there's St. Ambrose, and since we're almost out of time, I'm just gonna jump ahead, to St. Ambrose. But first, look, this is somebody coming in later and copying this in pencil, I think. No, maybe it's actually ink. But they didn't finish, but they were trying to copy that. And we see this a little bit. And it could be a child, but it also, I don't know, it's pretty nice, so it could be a grown-up. 71, so I'm sorry we're going to skip through, but remember, this is digitized, so if you want to see the whole thing, you can go to the digital, or go to the record and see it. I thought it was 71. These are very beautiful. Ambrose, 71 verso. 71 verso. Here we are. So here's our last look. So this is St. Ambrose. And again, not gold, but yellow to sort of emulate. I don't know, maybe that is gold. It's shiny. It's not gold leaf. It could be shell gold, maybe, but it's not that shiny. And another is a little bit zoomorphic because there's some kind of creature here. But that is St. Ambrose, and we know it's St. Ambrose because A-M-B, Santo Ambrose. So we know it's him. All right. Thank you all so much. This was really fun. Thank you especially to Stefano for your input. That was really just so helpful. And Yeah. Everybody take care, and I hope I'll see you next week. Have a great week, and take care.